Hey, good afternoon and welcome to our first and last meeting of November. You know, with the Thanksgiving holidays, Christmas approaching, I'll call us to order. The invocation tonight will be given by Councilmember Tony Stewart in respect to the flags, the Councilmember Beatrice Thompson. Please rise.
Let us pray. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, as we approach this holiday season, we come to you to thank you for all that you have done for us and continue to do for us every day. As a city, a community, and a family, we have been in the midst of situations this year that we've never seen before, but through you, we were able to overcome and persevere through it. So during this holiday season, we give thanks to you for human liberty and sacred sites, for opportunities to change and to grow, to affirm and to choose. We give thanks to you. And finally, we would pray that we may not live by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. All these things we ask you in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The minutes of our October 28th meeting have been distributed. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? Not hearing any, I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
First by Dr. Thompson,
Second.
second by Mr. Steele. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those minutes of October 28th pass unanimously. We don't have any old business, but we've got a couple items of new business. Our first item of new business is request consideration of a referral to the Planning Commission, a petition to rezone 1201 Gatson Street from LI Light Industrial to RM10 Multifamily Residential. Mr. McEwen.
Thank you. This referral is actually similar to a couple other ones that are pending before the Planning Commission. They were unable to meet this month, and so this will go along with those and fit nicely into their agenda. So we wanted to go ahead and get it on the agenda tonight for referral. And Mr. Maurice McKenzie will go over the background information at work.
Okay, thank you. This property consists of just under 2/3 of an acre. Is zoned LI Light Industrial, and the applicant wishes to rezone that to RM10 Multifamily Residential and subdivide it into 3 lots to build 3 single-family detached dwellings. And the reason for the rezoning is the fact that LI Light Industrial does not allow single-family residential, so that's the reason for the rezoning. And the RM10 zoning requires lots to be at least 5,000 square feet in size. It could actually be rezoned to R5 single-family residential. It's exactly the same lot sizes and everything else, but we at the moment are leaning toward RM10 multifamily residential just because it is more consistent with surrounding zoning in the neighborhood. You can look at the attached map and see that there's RM10 directly across the street, and there's no R5 in the general area, so that's the reason why we're recommending at the moment RM10 zoning. But as the city manager mentioned, this is a referral. It is scheduled to go to the Planning Commission on December 3rd and should come back to you at your next meeting, which is, I believe, December 9th.
Thank you, sir. Any questions before we move it on to planning?
I just had a question. On the 2 lots that are next to it, it notes that they're zoned light industrial, the ones that go along South Tower Street. But it appeared from looking at a map, those are actually houses. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's interesting that it's zoned that way. Again, years ago, there may have been another reason for it. Again, the adjacent parcel is, what we're talking about now is zoned light industrial. It could have been a situation when we just created the zoning map, that whole section was captured as industrial.
And what is currently on the site?
The site is actually undeveloped. There was a building on the site, but it was recently demolished. Well, past 6 or 7 months, it was torn down. I think there's a few little remnants of the building, but it's gone now.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments?
I make a motion, Mayor, that we refer this to the Planning Commission.
First by Mr. Horvan,
Second.
second by Mr. Martinez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously to the planning commission. Our last item of new business is request consideration of purchase of fire department, fire engine, fire truck for the fire department. Ms. McEwen.
All right, this item comes before you because of Hurricane Helene. As you're aware, we had over 500 calls for service during that period of time when the storm first hit us from our police and fire side, resulted in numerous saves, rescues, and so many other intensive calls that were on. Engine 2 sustained quite a bit of damage. We believe that it's probably totaled. This before you is another engine. We'll go over that in just a second. And so we are in the need. We were able to go out and find a truck and put it in service, and then it caught its first fire really quickly, and it has done well for us, and that's the truck you see on the picture. But before we get into the actual request, we thought it would be a great opportunity to go over the fleet itself. What we have coming, we do have 2 on the production line right now that are coming any day now, and we wanted to go over the fleet, where we're headed, and the current status of the fleet. So Chief Charlie King's put together a presentation, and he'll dive through this.
All right. Thank you, sir. First and always is thank y'all for the opportunity tonight to talk about the Anderson Fire Department to you. It's always kind of like a proud dad moment anytime I have the opportunity to talk and brag on the work of the men and women that staff our fire department and the work they do for our city. But one other item I think is important to mention tonight before we get started is 114 years ago, all of our forefathers sat here having almost the same identical discussion nearly to the day as they were discussing purchasing the city's first motorized vehicle, which was a 1911 American LaFrance chemical car fire engine. Next door, what's the police department now, was City Hall, and they were at a big disagreement on buying the truck because back then the fire department used horses, and there were 3 horses owned by the city, all prize-winning horses, and it was really controversial to move away from horses into motorized apparatus, and the city alderman and mayor at that time were very torn on the decision. They held multiple votes over a month's time and just couldn't come to a decision. And finally that night they took a vote to settle it by a pistol duel out in Main Street. So 114 years ago tonight, a group of aldermen walked out and they drew straws of who was going to have a pistol duel with the mayor to buy the city's first fire truck. The mayor won. Alderman went to the hospital that night, and we still own that 1911 American LaFrance. It's a piece we proudly display in our museum, but we have no expectation of anybody going to the hospital tonight, regardless of how this vote turns out. But we're certainly proud.
Do you have your fingers crossed or something?
No, I do not. I do not. But no expectation. But kind of as we go into this, I just wanted to cover a few things with our fleet and certainly how we plan and manage our fleet, and that it's just not a shot in the dark from the fire chief or from our city garage and fleet supervisor that the way we choose to buy trucks and maintain them are a shot in the dark, that there are several things that kind of lead us down a path and the right way to do that ensure we have the right apparatus and they remain in a working condition. One of those is our insurance services, our ISO rating. The city currently holds an ISO Class 1 rating, and there are several things that goes into that. One is looking at coverage needs. The same discussion we had a couple of months ago about adding additional stations as we continue to grow our city limits to ensure that we have adequate coverage. Based on recommended response times, we look to have our first engine company, our first resource on the scene within 3 minutes of an alarm, and that what they consider an effective fire force, your full first alarm assignment, and all of your personnel on scene within 8 minutes of that alarm. And certainly that goes into it. Describes the equipment that's to be carried, that you just can't go out and buy a fire truck and put it in service without having the needed equipment to be carried on it, and certainly the expense that goes into maintaining that. National Fire Protection Association goes into the apparatus design standards, and that's a big factor in what's caused the rise in the cost of apparatus over a number of years. When I took my first fire chief's job in December of 2010, we were buying pumpers at about $400,000. And the 2 pumpers we'll talk about later that are to be delivered to us in a month, we're at nearly $800,000 for those, and they'll continue to go up. So as a lot of things continue to change. We want to look at life cycle recommendations that we don't want to wait until the trucks are absolutely just broke down, can't respond anymore when they go out, that the life cycle that we have been working towards and recommend is a 12-year life cycle, that we expect the call volume that we have, the maintenance program that we have, that the trucks will continue to be reliable into that 12-year cycle and be able to serve another 8 years in a reserve status, so a total of 20 years of service to our city. Also, we upkeep pretty strict maintenance standards. There are things that are required of emergency apparatus that could be different than a general vehicle that we have, not only in just the amount of oil changes, but each year they're third-party tested where they're all brought in, they're taken out of service, and they're put through pretty rigorous that stresses them out. The intent is to find the weak points or if the truck could potentially fail while on a scene or pumping at a fire, those types of things. So they go through a pretty rigorous maintenance standards. And then certainly is just driven by our citizens, the needs of the businesses and homeowners that are in our community. And I think we met one of those needs back in July with the implementation of our rescue company that we'll talk about in a little bit. But as we go through the presentation, there's basically 3 types of apparatus that we staff and operate each day. The first one being a typical fire engine, which everybody knows is here in Anderson is staffed by a total of 4 personnel, a company officer, a driver, and 2 firefighters. It carries obviously water, a fire pump, hose, medical equipment, and then again we talked about having a 12-year frontline life cycle and an 8-year reserve. Aerial ladder or rescue, we call those service companies. We currently run 1 aerial ladder, ladder 1 out of station 1, and 1 rescue company. The ladder is staffed by 4 personnel, the rescue by 2. Obviously the obvious of having an aerial ladder on top, but again, hose, pump water, and they specialize in vehicle extrication, rope rescue, and on the fire ground they do support company work, forcible entry, searching buildings, removing occupants, and any salvage and overhaul. And then of course our staff and command vehicles, not only just daytime administrative staff that have an assigned vehicle, but we do have a battalion chief, 24-hour-a-day supervisor that is a management level position that is there to make management level decisions on behalf of the fire department 24 hours a day. But to go into a little bit about some of the apparatus, I think we need to clear up a little bit on Engine 2, because as we go through the presentation, we're going to talk of Engine 2, but as we progress, it's actually going to be 3 different trucks throughout the presentation. Engine 2, as we know it today, the 2000 Pierce fire engine that we've ran for the last 14 years was significantly damaged during the storm response. It currently remains out of service. It's been evaluated by both our insurance companies and manufacturers just to look at if it's even able to be repaired. While we're still waiting on official insurance numbers to come in, manufacturers, and we've had 2 vendors that's provided us 2 numbers, $310,000, $356,000 to make repairs to that engine. And both are estimating that it would be out at minimum a year or closer to 14 to 18 months that we would lose that truck to make repairs to it. So that's Engine 2 version 1. The second Engine 2 that we'll talk about is what's currently running out of the station today, is a 2008 model Crimson fire engine that within a day or 2 after the storm, we were able to find this truck. The town of Hilton Head, the city of Hilton Head, was undergoing a complete fleet replacement where they were replacing all 7 of their fire engines and ladders, so they had a handful of trucks that were sitting available for immediate purchase and use. 4 of those trucks immediately went to the departments in North Carolina. We were able to secure 1, and the other 2 have been sold since. But currently we're in a lease agreement with the apparatus so that we can use it, and it's proven to be of value to us monetarily. And again, we'll go into a little bit more depth on that truck, but again, it's proven to be a good apparatus for us and reliable and meets the specs of the 2 newest trucks coming in. And then the third version of Engine 2 is a 2024 Pierce engine that's currently in Wisconsin, set to be delivered. Council voted for the purchase of that in October of 2022. Build time 27 months. Here we are today with that truck being delivered. But as we go through each station one by one, and just Fire Station 1, the three, we'll go just over the primary apparatus that respond out each one of those. Battalion 1, the small Ford Expedition sitting on the right of the screen. 4-wheel drive Ford Expedition carries our shift supervisor, shift commander, that they're able to respond to calls, travel around to the stations every day, and just provide general management services to their shift of 23 assigned personnel. Engine 1, sitting to the far left, a 2017 Pierce engine, 750 gallons of water, 1,500 minute pump, again carries 4 people. And Engine 1 really is the workhorse of our fire department. Just being in the downtown area, having a large area to cover, they essentially, Engine 1 covers 2/3 of the calls that are dispatched in the city. A very busy apparatus, and again, that just leads to maintenance and not really issues, but just additional care that it receives. Lots more trucks in Station 1. We'll cross those here in just a minute. Fire Station 2 has a single engine company assigned to it, 4 personnel. And as Mr. McEwen mentioned in our opening picture, this is that 2008 Crimson Metro Star fire engine that we're currently leasing. Seating for 6 personnel, 4 assigned, 500 gallons of water. If you were to look at the rear of the truck, what's called a low hose bed, the supply hose that we're carrying on our current trucks. I'm 6 foot tall, and it's a challenge for me to reach the hose that's on the top of the truck and pull it down. The truck that's in front of you and those that are set to be delivered to us at the end of the year, we've lowered that hose bed down to about chin height, that most of the personnel that we have, rather than climbing up on the truck and risk an injury, they're able to grab the material, the hose from the back of the truck and pull it off. And again, one of the things that we're going towards is what's called a side mount pump. Rather than having a platform that the pump operator stands behind the cab up on the truck, we're going to a side mount truck to where the pump is on the side and they stand on the ground. The biggest advantage is it shortens the wheelbase of the truck, makes the apparatus much more maneuverable for us to get into neighborhoods that are being built. That truck especially to be able to make its way Clemson Boulevard, North Main Street, kind of out of town that direction, and just that shorter wheelbase, even just 2.5 foot shorter, just makes an incredible difference in maneuverability for us. Station 2. Station 3 is currently staffed by 6 personnel, 2 apparatus. Engine Company 3 is a 2006 Pierce fire engine. Is pretty close to the Engine 2 that was damaged in the storm. 1,000 gallons of water, 1,500 gallon per minute pump, 4 personnel are assigned to it. And then Rescue 3. Rescue 3 is the company that, with your support, we were able to put in service back in July. With the hiring of 6 additional firefighters, 2 per shift, we were able to place Rescue Company 3 in service, which runs a 1996 E1 Freightliner, provides fire ground support. They work as a truck company, same as a ladder truck, just without the aerial ladder. Provide high angle rope rescue, confined space, vehicle extrication in support of hazardous materials response. And I can't say enough how valuable that truck has proven to be in just a couple of months' time. Rather being a fire engine similar to Engine 3 next to it that's assigned and focused on a single area, that truck has become a Swiss Army knife for us, a utility that's additional manpower, lots of tools and equipment on it, and it's just become a huge asset in just a couple of months to us, not only in the city, but being able to, it responds countywide to technical rescue and hazardous materials calls. Just Monday of this week, Friday, they responded out into Oconee County, the 18-wheeler wreck that closed the interstate for 8 or 12 hours all day. They were able to respond to it in the early morning hours. The train derailment that was in Belton, they were one of the first arriving crews to it. Just has been a really huge asset since being put into service back in July for our fire department. So we're super proud of the work of Rescue 3. In addition to having frontline apparatus, the trucks that are staffed every day to go out the door and answer calls, we maintain a fleet of reserve apparatus that trucks are either go out of service for planned maintenance or unplanned events that occur to them, and we have to have apparatus for the crews to step over onto. We keep one of those two apparatuses that's pictured there fully equipped, that the crew simply just has to get off one truck, get onto another, and it can go immediately in service. Or if there were to be a large fire, we're starting to staff lots of special events, the Rock the Country, Soiree, Anderson University football, you name it. We're able to just bring a crew right in, put them on an apparatus, and they're able to go knowing that it's equipped. 2007 Suffin Mini Tower is a spare that can run both as backup for our ladder truck for ladder 1, or in place of a pumper. It carries both sets of equipment, has the capability to do both. Right now today, these are the only 2 spare apparatus that we have. The E1 pumper especially is starting to get some age and wear and tear on it. It's time for it to move out of the fleet, and our ultimate hope here in a couple of months is that we'll move from having 2 apparatus to a total of 3. The 2007 Suffin that you see there, it'll stay as a reserve apparatus, and then the truck we'll talk about purchasing and current engine 3 will all move to reserve status and be available to us by the end of the year. Again, maintenance intensive trucks, and just the amount of special events that are coming to us, it's important that we have multiple reserve apparatus that are ready to go in service pretty quickly that's there. We have a fleet of staff vehicles, a very small number of administrative staff for our fire department. Obviously, I'm assigned a vehicle, the assistant fire chief, our fire marshal, our logistics officer, rescue captain are the only 4 that are assigned take-home vehicles that would respond in support of our shift personnel should an event arise or there be any other needs. Those will be the 4 that provide that level of support to them. We keep a training and travel vehicle, a 2008 Suburban, that pretty low mileage vehicle that allows folks to load up and go to training classes either in-state or around the southeast that we're providing. And then each one of our stations has a gopher vehicle. These are older, really out-of-date vehicles that may not be the prettiest or nicest vehicle that's out there, but it allows them, rather than taking a truck to run and get oil dry or run to the grocery store or do things like that, that they're able to take a small vehicle to help keep wear and tear off the trucks and again, just to run basic errands with. And we rotate those pretty frequently as staff vehicles or others are replaced and go out of service. A couple of pieces of support equipment. We have a Swift water trailer, the one that's on the far left. That trailer carries 2 small boats on it, an inflatable boat with a motor, whitewater raft is on top of it. Rarely do those get used here in Anderson. Those are typically pieces of equipment that are deployed through our state firefighter mobilization program to assist surrounding counties or really anywhere in the state. And really since 2015, we continue to experience 100-year floods every year, it seems. So those boats stay pretty busy when it's time to go out. Small ATV or UTV in the center is a Gravely 4-seater, 4-wheel drive kind of off-road vehicle. While it is off-road capable, we put most of our miles on it on the roads here at low speeds. It's what we staff for soiree events on Main Street, fairs, concerts, things at the Civic Center. It goes to AU football, small, maneuverable, easy to get in and out of places. It's got a small 60-gallon tank of water, pump hose, carries medical equipment, those types of things, and it's just proven to be a really good piece of equipment for us, both for special events here and should there be a need for off-road events. We don't have many big brush fires here, but there's been a handful of occasions where it's been deployed. Then on the right is a light plant, small little diesel generator that's got a light mast on it that is used to light up incident scenes. That's really become a goodwill piece of equipment for us. While we use it a good bit here in the city for incidents, it's used for a lot of organizations that have events, the opening of the Cancer Association, things like that, that just provide lighting when there are events that happen around town. We are just as excited about Caters Lake as everybody else is, so we went out and found us a 27-foot center console boat with a 200 horsepower motor on the back, so we're hoping the plan includes a boat ramp. But in all seriousness, this boat was a rescue craft that was replaced by Anderson County last summer with a fireboat, a professionally built, purpose-built fireboat. This boat is still mechanically sound, in good condition, and our dive team based here with the fire department currently uses it when there are rescues, drownings, those types of things that happen. Hartwell Lake, Broadway Lake, Lake Secession, other places that the county's fireboat can't be taken out of the water and moved to. This boat has the capability to do that. I think one thing that's important, we don't have any taxpayer dollars, city taxpayer dollars tied up in the boat. The county council donated the boat, that if we were willing to put a little sweat equity into it to make it operational, so we chose to do that. Just recently, Charleston County Council has agreed to donate to us an $18,000 value Suzuki outboard motor, brand new, still in the crate. We pick it up on Wednesday, and we'll have about $800 in installing it. And then a group called Mitchell's Light, which is based out of Anderson here. They had a family member that drowned in Abbeville County a number of years ago. They provided us a little over $10,000 grant to put both down scan and side scan sonar on that boat, making it just an absolutely incredible tool on the lake to search the bottom of the lake or what may be in the water before you commit a diver to going underwater. So again, the boat's proven to be a pretty great asset to us that folks are still continuing to train on, deployed it multiple times, and have made a difference on it. Does not fit in Caters Lake, I do want to clarify that, but not for it. Also, as part of the fleet, we do keep a couple of county-owned apparatus that county provides the equipment and the maintenance. We provide a driver to respond to it 24 hours a day, wherever it may take it to, and support its operation. One being the county's hazardous materials primary vehicle. They have 4 vehicles. We keep their primary response truck, the one at the top. And again, a driver would take it out to the scene and meet the volunteer hazmat team that would come out and staff it. Again, that truck travels a good bit. They could be called anywhere in the county to go out, or it's a state asset as well, a regional response team. And again, not a vehicle that you want to see out on the road a lot because it's going to some pretty nasty things, but responds to about 20 calls a year. Then the truck on the bottom, our technical rescue team, that's their water rescue equipment, which again, with the boat in hand now, it was just a match for the water rescue equipment to stay there with the boat. Kind of the last one of our in-fleet stuff, this is part of our incident management team. This is a federal Homeland Security via our state law enforcement division funds 3 incident management, type 3 incident management teams in our state. These are made up of personnel from Anderson Fire Department, Public Works, Police Department, Greenville County, City of Spartanburg, that travel to disasters and help provide oversight and management. During Tropical Storm Debbie, a couple of months ago, they handled 4 deployments to our state EOC, Berkeley County, Dorchester County, Colleton, and they're actually pulling out tonight, headed to Lexington County for the rest of the week for a weapons of mass destruction exercise. But we upkeep 2 Chevrolet pickup trucks and 3 trailers, one a command and operations center, one that carries just equipment, and then one that has the capability of setting up a base camp, generators, heaters, air conditioners, tents, the like, that we could function without physical facilities for 72 hours. And again, this project's funded by State Law Enforcement Division and Federal Homeland Security dollars go into managing that. So kind of the exciting part, saying all that about the fleet, this is kind of where it gets a little bit confusing about Engine 2, was October of 2022, we came to you and you were able to support us in the purchase of 2 new fire engines to replace Engine 2 and 3. Engine 2 is done. Engine 3 is slated to be complete in Thursday of this week after a 2-year build process. We have representatives of the fire department that will travel to Appleton, Wisconsin, December 2nd to essentially do like you would a construction on a new building or a house. They'll go over both apparatus top to bottom, inside and out, to look for any defects, any issues, anything, because that's a big investment of our tax dollars, $1.48 million, and we want to make sure that those trucks are right before they leave the factory and head home. So we're certainly looking forward to the delivery of engines 2 and 3. Both will go to their respective stations. They have a handful of changes to the apparatus that kind of meet today's firefighting methods and the training that the guys take. So this is a new specification for us, and we're really looking forward to having both of those. Now, I think here in a minute we'll talk about the purchase of a truck to replace engine 2, and that's still needed today so that we can maintain the minimum number of reserve apparatus in our fleet, because again, what we were intending to be engine 2 to go in reserve when we lost it to the tree falling, we still need that number of apparatus in reserve to support us. A little bit looking ahead in our fleet, engine 1, ladder 1 are soon to be a conversation to come back to this group. When we bought the last round of trucks, it was a 2-year build time. Today, that time is 48 to 50 months. So with both engine 1, ladder 1 being 2016-17 models, to keep them at our 12-year replacement, those are both asks that will be coming to the administration here within the next year, is looking at replacing engine 1 and ladder 1. Rescue 3, 1996 model, and then certainly as we look forward out the windshield towards Station 4 and a Station 5, the apparatus to place into those. So certainly a lot of planning still ongoing. While we're excited about the new engines coming, we're still planning for what's ahead for our fleet. But I just wanted to share that while we're super proud of the apparatus that we have and what goes into those, both to maintain them and operate them every day, that they're an incredible tool to some of the most talented and committed firefighters that are on our team here. And each one of those are dedicated to serving every member of our community, regardless of who they are, what neighborhood they live in, what community, doesn't matter. But they're committed to serving each one of those as if they were a member of our own family. And certainly we depend on our apparatus and tools to be able to do that, and are always grateful for the support we have to continue to invest in those to deliver top quality service. There's our fleet.
Back to you, Doug.
All right, yes, I wanted to have Chief King give you that fleet overview. It's very important, especially as we're continuing growth and we're investing in the future stations. Also, just to provide perspective, even though we did have a loss to the engine 2 with the tree on it, we spoke about several engine 2s, and we have a new one being delivered. You had to kind of piece all this together and why this makes sense for this purchase. So with that, I've turn it back over to Chief King of how we went out and evaluated the apparatus. We were able, Chief King called me, I think we're in day 2 or day 3 of the recovery, I can't remember, maybe September the 30th. He called me, realized we had an immediate need for apparatus, and we needed to find something very quickly, knowing that Western North Carolina was coming and grabbing every truck available. You do have these huge lead times on the build out of a truck. And so find one that meets your specs, which this 2008 Crimson does, was a great option for us, and we just got lucky with that. Chief King was able to find it. I told him to grab it. We'll put it in a lease, and then we'll go from there. Actually caught its first fire and did really well. I think hours after they put spent about 8-10 hours putting all the equipment on it. It caught its first fire within about 2 hours. And so with that, we are recommending the purchase. I'll just cut right to it. Recommend the purchase of the 2008 Crimson that's currently in service, and then it would roll to a spare once that new engine 2 is delivered. So for $204,500, to give you a comparison, there are some other ones listed here. However, he mentioned a lot about specifications. All these are custom-built trucks, and each truck is built for a certain purpose with certain specifications, and how that department trains and how they utilize it. And so in our urban environment, as you mentioned, the shorter wheelbase, the side mounted pump is what you see and going back to, and there's that'll serve us really well. And with the 2 new engines being delivered, it's the very similar specifications for that. This would come from the funding of the general fund. We do have a fund balance, rainy day fund. That's why we always talk about that fund balance number to get us through these storms. But ultimately, we expect to have insurance proceeds. We are waiting on the settlement of that, but felt the need that it was important to go ahead and bring this before council and have a decision made to go ahead and purchase it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chief. Good education piece. Learned something every time I hear you speak. I'll open it up for questions on the agenda item B2. Mr. Stewart?
I know you had mentioned that the engine 2 is probably going to be totaled. Do we have an idea of what we may be looking at? Is it going to offset what we're paying here? Is there going to be a difference or?
Right. Great question. We're going back and forth with the insurance as normal process, right? So we had the manufacturer on our behalf, Pierce Manufacturing, actually come here, evaluate the truck for what it would take. There's 2 factors of that. One, they're saying it would be $310,000 around that, and there's a lot of rebuild on the mid body to the rear. Even the pump had damage. The internal pump casing had damage to it. So with that, then you also got to take in consideration the time of that rebuild, and you're looking at 14 months potentially for it going off to the factory. You don't see it. We're short a truck. We get engine 2 in, but we're still short a truck. And so we're hoping that we get close to that number in settlement. There may be some compromise there, but it would certainly look like cover $204,000 is our expectations.
And since it happened during a hurricane event, maybe the federal government come in and pick up, maybe we make a request if there's a difference,
Correct.
to
So
come back.
we have an active application with FEMA that would continue to update and put a lot of information in daily. Right now from our records, it'll take quite a amount of time for that, and it's usually about 2 years to 3 years being reimbursed. But yeah, if there was a difference, we can file that into the FEMA and hope for reimbursement. I think we would be successful there as well.
Yep.
And so we're looking for the general fund, that rainy day fund. That's why it's important. You have to float the money on these things, but being reimbursed by FEMA for almost all our recovery efforts.
And lastly, the relationship between, so I know we had talked earlier about finding this truck through the city of Hilton Head, but what's the relationship between them and Safe Industries and Piedmont, South Carolina?
Good question. Chief King?
Yep, great answer. Safe Industries in Piedmont sold them the apparatus that they're replacing it with. They're a dealer for KME fire apparatus, and that was who Hilton Head chose to go with for their fleet replacement. So as part of their purchase, Safe Industry agreed to buy the 7 trucks because they were good condition coming out, that their intent was to sell them to customers like us. And so that was how Safe Industries got their hands on those 7 apparatus. To be able to resell them was just almost a trade-in value when they did a replacement.
It wouldn't be any cheaper if we just bought 4 thoroughbreds, right?
Very, very good. So,
Yeah, good question.
but if you don't mind, part of what Mr. McEwen had explained about the value and talking about the repair value that you have for $306,000, that's only to build the back end of the truck. They would be building for $350,000, putting a back end on a 14-year-old truck that we've been running hard. So again, I think that's one part. Remember, you're not getting a brand new truck for $300. You're getting a back end put on a truck that we've run hard for 15 years already.
Understood.
Thank you. We'll go Dr. Thompson and Mr. Horgan.
Amazing presentation.
Thank you.
Learned a lot. I wanted to ask, with all these engines you got, I noticed you have staff that's with all the engines. Do you have enough staff to accompany the engines that we have and the training that they need to occupy or to use these particular engines?
That's a big question. That's a big and a loaded question.
Do you have a place for all of these at the different, we have, how many stations we have? 3?
3.
3 stations. Do you have space in all 3 stations for all of these different engines? And do you have enough staff for all the different engines?
Yes, ma'am. All of the apparatus that we have will be inside, out of the weather. That's important, that they're in some type of closed or controlled environment. The trailers that we have, some of the support stuff, they do sit outside, but everything is inside. Staffing's a loaded question. You always could use more people. Tomorrow's incident, we could need more than we have today. But for us, staffing 3 engine companies, a ladder, now the rescue truck, and a battalion chief, 23 personnel on shift, that's adequate for what we're running frontline today. Knowingly, as we go into a Station 4, a Station 5, down the road, obviously those will come with staffing needs, total package for them as well. But right now, all of our engines are fully staffed. We have 4 personnel assigned each day to those, ladder company as well. So staffing, now, if we were to put a reserve in service, in addition to those, we would bring, and that was what we did during the hurricane, was we actually brought in enough folks that we staffed all of our reserve apparatus, and all of them were very busy throughout that 48 hours. So if there are times we feel like we need more than the 5 primary staffed apparatus, we would bring folks in.
Mr. Auburn?
Chief, you know, what I know about a fire truck is it's red and it's got a siren. That's about all I know, and it puts out fires. I did, and thank you for the thorough presentation. I noticed that we have Pierce fire trucks, and it seems like that is the flavor that this council or council years ago have seemed to have been buying Pierce, and this is a Crimson. Is it like a Toyota and a Nissan, or is it like a Ford and what's the difference?
Yeah, great question. Pierce right now is our preferred manufacturer. That we, the service that we get from them, the maintenance, the quality of the build long term, we've been super pleased with Pierce apparatus, along with lots of other folks. So building, buying new, absolutely Pierce is our preferred vendor, and a lot of folks feel that way to the point that their apparatus are scarce, that both in quality of their build, and the second factor is if you have used apparatus that were pre-DEF fluid, diesel particulate stuff, those are in very high demand, and folks are just grabbing up any fire apparatus that they can find that are pre-DEF fluid. And actually engine 2 and 3 that we have today, we've had multiple offers from fire departments, hey, you want to sell those 2 when your new ones come in. But the difference really when you look at a fire truck, the engines are only made, the motors of the truck are only made by 3 manufacturers. The pump of the truck is only one of 2 manufacturers. The tank that's inside the truck that holds the water, there's really only 2 manufacturers that make those. So once the major components, those 3 are kind of pieced together, then it just becomes you ensuring that you have a manufacturer that you can get parts from. Things as simple as the handle to roll up and down the windows, things like that. So while we do have a preferred manufacturer, Pierce, the components, the significant components of the truck, as well as design specifications, low hose bed, side mount pump, do meet the standards that we would want to keep.
And you know, when we're talking about, you know, a Crimson, do you evaluate, you know, it was 12 years in service, 8 years on standby for a 20-year shelf life. Is that evaluated by hours on the motor, miles, or is it a combination of both?
Hours much more than miles, because they don't drive that far, but they run for long periods of time. Yes, that's one of the major factors too, is where is it coming from? You certainly don't want trucks out from the Northeast. You don't want trucks from the West Coast just due to corrosion. This one came from Hilton Head. As we went into the discussion with them, this one was already in Piedmont. Safe Industries had already done a complete bumper-to-bumper mechanics evaluation on it. They had already completed a third-party pump test on it. And Hilton Head was more than happy to provide us all of the maintenance records from the day that it was bought. So all of that went into our evaluation of just how it was. Now, And again, we felt a little bit safer because our original agreement with Safe Industries is that we were just leasing the truck. And that any issues that we found with the truck during the lease terms, they would handle. So we've took full advantage of that before today. They were even here this morning because we wanted them to get every last maintenance issue that we could find with the truck took care of before this evening. And they've been more than gracious to all the little nitpicky things that we found with the truck. That they've all been addressed prior to us actually writing a check to purchase it. So I think that lease period really worked to our favor since the 1st of October.
And last question, I promise. Engine 2 that is potentially totaled, will we be able to salvage anything off of engine 2? I assume if it's totaled, will somebody buy it and redo it, or will it just get scrapped? Will we have an opportunity to salvage anything out of it and off it?
Yes, sir. Kind of yes sir to all of those. Is the truck itself still has value in that it is a pre-def truck. So we, again, our contract maintenance that we have that does some things, he's already made us a cash offer on the cab. We've had other folks, and we know the motor's compatible with other things in the city fleet totally, as well as our engine 3. There are a lot of parts and pieces that are interchangeable. So I think once we kind of know the full plan for the damaged engine 2, we've got options, both of benefit to us here in the city or to somebody else that could see a dollar benefit to it.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Anything else, guys?
One quick.
Let's do
Just a question, not to question you, but, you know, I know in a typical vehicle, if I total my vehicle, I can't go take stuff off the vehicle. That's the insurance company's vehicles to do that. How would we be able, if the insurance company totals it, how will we be able to go back and salvage something that they just bought?
Yep, good question. Our apparatus actually have two separate insurance policies for the apparatus. The vehicle itself is covered under one insurance policy, and all the loose equipment is covered under a second insurance policy. So anything that wasn't damaged during the storm, we've already removed it from the truck because we needed to put another truck in service. There are a couple of things, the hose that rides up in the bed of the truck, things, we have filed two claims, one on the damage of the truck and one to the damage of the loose equipment that was on the exterior of the truck. But I think it just comes down to if they do decide that it's totaled, then do we own the chassis or does a salvage company? But if it comes back that that's part of the settlement, again, there's still value in the motor and the kind of the running gear of that truck. There is still value to that.
And I guess you would have the option too to buy the salvage vehicle that's usually offered. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
for a lesser price. Go ahead.
does anybody else have
Any
anything?
questions?
I make a motion that we purchase a 2008 Crimson from Safe Industries for $204,500 for our fireman's fleet.
Second.
First by Mr. Harbin, second by the Mayor Pro Tem. Any further questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Chief.
Thank y'all.
Administrative briefing, Ms. McEwen.
Okay, while we're talking about Hurricane Helene, we'll give you an update on a couple other items that are out there. One that I was hoping that may have made this agenda, it didn't, is Anderson Fire Station 1 roof. As you notice, you may be able to see it coming down McDuffie, but we have a piece of the metal that's missing. The rest of the building now, we have a brand new roof and brand new waterproofing to the entire exterior of the building. The whole building's been waterproofed. And so then the big piece of metal from the metal roof came off that we were planning on keeping and just rehabbing. So where we are with that, again, we're working with the insurance. We had a really good meeting with them. We brought our experts and who've already been mobilized here for the project, but DP3 Architects, the building consultant, roof and building consultant, both met with the insurance adjuster. That was extremely helpful to go through the details, how mix and matching the repairs not compatible. So where at first they were saying, hey, we're only going to pay for the repair, that's not quite when you get to these standing metal seam roofs and different compatibility of these, and this being an older one, how it would match up is a bit of an issue. And so we're going back and forth on that compromise of what that settlement looks like. At the end of the day, though, our game plan is to recommend to you the roof replacement, which I know Mr. Roberts, our builder on council, was saying it might be a wise thing to do from the beginning with the project, and then the storm, of course, hit us. The replacement cost with the storm repair all in would be $181,500. Now, remember, we were under construction manager at risk with the contract for the Fire Station 1 project, and there's allowances built into that. And so we will get a credit back already of $37,585. We're looking at a new cost of $143,915. And so right now, before they know we're waiting, and Seaborn's on standby to mobilize again and so forth to replace the roof under the same contract. We would just do a contract amendment, keep that contract going with Seaborn and DP3 and continue the project. But we did want to see what our insurance cost is, plus it provides us a little leverage in that discussion that we're not doing it right away. And so we hope to have that to you very soon, hopefully December agenda, the latest January. So we're just pushing them for an answer on that. Moving on to the next thing, and then I'll wrap back around in a second. I wanted to bring Public Works Director Ken Molinas up to go over where we are to date on the finish line to recovery. So with that, Ken Molinas.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I am happy to say that today is a much better day than our last meeting. We're in much better shape than what we were this time last month with our debris pickup and with everything that was related to that. We started, just to give you a quick update, we've started that process of debris removal on September the 30th. And our last day of full attention to that was November the 1st, which allowed our street department sanitation crews and even Electric City Utilities to get back to our daily tasks and projects that we're working on. Just give you some totals from the debris pickup, from the vegetative debris collected. We collected 1,348 loads of debris during the time for those 28 work days or 5 weeks, with 4,000, that equates to 4,667 tons of debris, or 18,669 cubic yards of debris. Most of that debris was picked up by city crews, sanitation, street, Electric City Utilities, with about 60% of that picked up. From sanitation, street, and utilities. So the rest of that was from our partners, and so thankful for those folks jumping in and helping the way they did. Extremely proud, as I said at our last meeting, when we gave you an update of their work. Anderson County provided N.W. White 18 trucks, so they worked 2 days with us. Rock Hill was with us for 21 days, which was the longest that any of our mutual aid partners worked with us. They worked with us for 21 days and collected 17% of the total debris amount. Mount Pleasant was with us for 18 work days and provided 12% of of the pickup, and Myrtle Beach was here for 12 days for 6%. So extremely proud of them. We've gotten back to our normal routines now. There are some debris out there that you can see, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But basically, our sanitation and street crews have gone back to their normal pickups, picking up. So we've picked up on the removal from all city roads. There may be some stuff that pops back out from time to time, so we're expecting that. We're monitoring that on a daily basis to see what's out there. If our crews can't grab it with 2 bites or so with our trash crews, we're going to either, if it's not on a state road, we're going to make provisions for that for our street department crews to jump in and pick that up. But for the most part, all of the city roads should be clear now. Now, there are our state roads. The SCDOT has contracted with Ashbrook, contracting to pick up the remaining debris on the state roads, and we did a lot of that. We picked up a lot of not just city roads, but we picked up on a lot of state roads as well. But there's some of those that keep that keeps bringing it back out and things like that, and things that are being removed from the yards and the back of the houses and things like that. There's still some of that out there. I don't think that's going as quickly as they had planned. I don't think there's as many trucks out there not casting stones, but I'm very proud that our teams and mutual aid partners were able to jump in and pick up what we were able to get during the time. DOT has actually started back last week of 6 days, 12-hour shifts with their own state employees until they get a handle on what's out there on the state roads. As of yesterday, 11/17, Ashbrook, the contractors, picked up 59% complete with their first pass on the countywide debris. That's countywide. And have collected 55,764 cubic yards of vegetated debris. That's a lot of debris. And as of yesterday, Ashbrook's 94% complete with their first pass on countywide. These are leaners and hangers of things that's, maybe a tree that's leaning over the road, or you've got a limb that's stuck up in there. So they've completed the majority of that, which is critical for, making sure that they've gotten all that clear for, that we don't have an emergency or situation or fallen limb or tree. Also want to give you an update on Silverbrook Cemetery on White Street. We have 12 total trees down over there. The city crews have removed 6 of those trees, but we're going to need a state contractor with a crane to go in and remove the rest of those. We've been securing quotes for that, and we've got 3 quotes for it, with the lowest being at approximately $27,000. And that's what they're going to do, is go in with the crane. They're going to lift it off of the markers and things and take it out and cut it and remove it from there. So we really won't know the extent of some of these markers until we get some of that debris off of there or whatever. So hopefully we're going to have that within the next few weeks. We're going to have that. They were focused primarily, we got what we could get. These contractors were focused primarily on houses and things, emergency situations in residential neighborhoods and things. So it's been a little bit difficult to get their timing, but we understand it. We've got the roads clear, and we're in a position now where we can at least we can function, but we do want to get those removed just as soon as possible. And just lastly, our FEMA, we have submitted, as Mr. McEwen alluded to, we've made an official request with FEMA for reimbursement. This will be for our time, the debris that we collected, things like that, for our mutual aid partners and their time. So we're now just waiting on an assignment of what they call a program delivery manager to begin the process to sit down and focus on ours. But in the meantime, we are actually, we've collected our paperwork. We were doing that from day one. We were documenting our time, documenting our debris from when we hauled the debris off, and getting those load tickets and things like that from that. So hopefully we will, like I said, that's a pretty lengthy process, but we're pretty good at documenting things with knowing what to expect, what they're going to ask for. So we've gone through that. We were doing that as we were actually on a daily basis. So I think we'll be in pretty good position on that. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Mr. McEwen.
Yeah, any questions you have on that? Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
You'd mentioned the DOT crews. Are they, and then completing a first pass, are they going to come back through to collect that road debris on state roads?
Yes, sir. My understanding is that they're going to make several passes before they make what they call a final pass through there or whatever. So my understanding is that they are going to make multiple passes before they make that final pass.
Go ahead. I was just going to ask, are we going to be notified of the final pass? Because I just know I have several constituents in my neighborhood where, even one of them said, we had kind of said, leave it in our yard and we'll take care of it. But then the tree company said, well, DOT is going to come through and get it anyway, so we're going to drag it back out to the street because they're going to do another pass. But I had kind of said, I'd seen them do the first pass through the neighborhood, and they cleaned up a bunch, and then I didn't know
if there was another one, when the other one is coming, and to be able to communicate to that to other people as they're starting to get debris, that kind of straggling debris out to the road would be helpful.
Well, they're saying that they 59% of the first pass, so
Okay.
it's countywide. So I would assume that they'll make that announcement. I did see something today through the city of Greenville, county of Greenville, where they have announced their contractor that they're about to make that final pass through there. So
I want to write off though, because that's a sample, okay, of what the decision making we had to face. So very early on in this, we had to make a decision that was coming with DOT. We needed to establish legal authority to pick up on state streets. That sounds weird. We pick up on state streets all the time. However, when you get into FEMA money and the FEMA reimbursement, it becomes very important. We're a very unique state in how the roads work. It's not like this in other states where you have multiple jurisdictions of roads within a city. So when FEMA comes in, they're looking just for a solid who owns what. Do you have legal authority to pick it up? Do you pick it up? Who am I going to pay? And so with that decision-making tree, there was options. So the option was you give everything to DOT and you say, DOT, you sign an agreement. I want you to pick up local roads and state roads with no known time of deployment of the contractors and no control of the contractors. That has been an issue. So the other one was you pick up yours, we pick up ours. We didn't sign that one either. So we didn't sign number one, we didn't sign number two. The third one is what we went with, which was a very limited scope, giving it to the contractor. And we did so under a lot of scouting, a lot of diligence with mapping. And we signed that we want legal authority to pick up on state roads because we've already been doing that. We jumped on this extremely early. The next day after the storm, picking up everywhere, Greenville Street, cutting trees, and basically that was going to cut us out of FEMA money, the reimbursement of all the work we've already done. And so we knew we had the capability to do it. So we jumped in and said, no, we're going to continue doing our mission. We know that it'll be weeks before the deployment of the contractors, before they make a first pass. We don't have any control of them. If they come, it's a bonus. And so we signed one. We were the only one in our region, which was Anderson County, Abbeville County, and Edgefield County that Ashbrook got assigned to, that signed we would do this. Everybody else said, oh, no, we're going to leave everything out there. We're hoping DOT comes and picks up in the local as well, along with the state in our city. Because of that and the unknowns and the very slow deployment, where there was only a couple trucks in the county, and that was it, where I think there was supposed to be, at one time they said like 15 trucks, I heard 20 at one time, and now they've had a powwow and a lot of trucks have come into the county now. But so what we did through mapping is we isolated areas that we knew and piles that would be very heavy, that we knew that would be good for that type of equipment, but that we're going to pick everything else up. And then if they don't meet it within a certain timeline, we're going to come through and do our best to pick it up anyways. And so our mission has been simple, is just to get everything out timely out of the city for a fast recovery and not wait on somebody we can't control. And that's turned out to be, I think, a good success for our city.
Well, and just again, to commend the city as I did at the last meeting, the response has been amazing. It mainly is being able to clearly communicate to my neighbors who are coming to me about what is the last kind of straggling pickup. Our neighborhood looks a light years better than it did right after the storm. There's been some amazing work. I just know, even as I walk through the neighborhood each day, there's a pile here or a limb that someone's put to the street there, and I wanted to make sure, as some of them have even come to me and asked about, is this going to be picked up or not, that I tell them, look, you got to make sure you get someone in and take care of it, or look, be patient, they're going to come through on another pass and take care of it. So thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, and that was just a broad speaking of the process.
Ms. Carter?
I would, also agree with that. I mean, I think 59% on the first pass, countywide, isn't too bad. I got an opportunity to visit an adjacent, a couple hour away county, and they're looking at spring to have theirs up. And I only went on major thoroughfares, and it is still majorly piled. And because they're doing it in-house and waiting on a state contractor. And I'm telling you, they are a long way. We are so far ahead of everybody else. And I just ask our citizens to remain patient, that, you know, if you want to see how far, I know they may have a pile of trash in their front yard, but drive around to some of our neighboring counties, they've got large piles of trash.
Yes, sir.
And we'll get to it as soon as we can. Thank you.
Anything else, guys?
Ken, for stuff that still may be on city streets that are larger than 4-foot sections, is the landfill gonna take that, or is the city just gonna not pick it up like they have in the past if it's not, you know, where people's bringing stuff finally to the curb from the back of the, you know, from the storm, and, you know, I know the landfill had kind of put a waiver on it, but now there's still a lot that they're bringing that's bigger than those 4-foot sections. I just didn't want to see it sitting on the curb because they're not taking it.
We haven't been rejected, so to speak, at the landfill at this point or whatever. So mainly obviously our sanitation crews are focusing on that smaller stuff, that what they normally pick up pre-hurricane. And so, but if we do see that out there, and we've asked our crews to keep us apprised of any of that they see that is on a city street, that we'll go take a look at it and evaluate it. But so far, they're accepting it. At some point, they're going to say, we got to go back to the proper lengths and things like that. But they know that there's still a lot of this from the storm itself, not just somebody cutting it and leaving it to the incorrect size.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mullines.
Yes, sir.
Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, I still have one more item. I don't think I mentioned Darn Wright Park. Just real quick, want to talk about that. We were able to close it for the season, which we normally do this type of year. We have 30 trees down there. 17 of those trees are still kind of hanging, unsafe conditions where they could fall, and it was immediate need to close the park. We're looking at approximately $35,000 there. We'll bid that out and go through that process, and I think we already have quotes on that, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Darn Wright Park. Also, in front of you, this is changing gears just a moment while I'm in administrative briefing, but you do have your city newsletter in front of you, and so we printed that out for you. This is also online, and so we have it on our website. At the top, you just click newsletter, and you go to that, and this is your direct source for city information services, project updates, and events. This comes out monthly, and it was emailed out today to our email subscribers. So we encourage those that may be watching tonight to subscribe to it through our website. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I conclude administrative briefing unless there are any questions.
One other question, all the wood that's being chopped up out there from the trees, what can be done with that wood?
It's being hauled to the landfill, and they put it off to the side. And what they did is they did not have what they call a tub grinder, a grinder that grinds up big, large trunks. It's my understanding that they were acquiring one, and that they would be running it through that process, and then disposing of it in the landfill. The contractor itself has set up another site where they're doing that. They're grinding it up themselves. So. Unfortunately, there's some good wood out there
Could people use that wood? You know, if they have a burning stove or something?
You could. I mean, I've seen, there's been people around the city gathering it, but the significant amount of debris, you had to get it and take it. And plus, not only that, there is a FEMA process for that. You couldn't just sell it off for anything. It's called from the cradle to the grave, and you have to document the entire process of you picking it up to where it ends up, and we document it, and it's been very helpful for us when we take it to the landfill. We just have a load ticket. We gave it custody to Anderson County to go in that landfill, and they like that for FEMA reimbursement. If you're doing the other process and you're grinding up yourself, you have to photo document all that, and it all goes back to just the audit process that will come under the volume that you took and so forth.
Thanks. We do have an executive session, and that's section 30-4-7A2, discussion of negotiations incident to proposed contractual agreements and receipt of legal advice relating to matters covered by the attorney-client privilege. I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion.
First by Mr. Stewart, second by Mr. Steele. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand in executive session. We'll stay in here.
No action.
No action taken
Before we adjourn.
on the executive session. All those in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.